NLP coaches seldom know how to apply their conversational skills into real-life conflicts and confrontations because they are trained in the beginning to use reframing techniques and healing techniques only in a context where the subject or the client specifically has been fully agreeing to be changed. They only know how to use verbal reframing with people who have acknowledged it was okay to let their mind be guided by somebody else. But what is it with somebody who is not willing in any sort of way to let you touch on their mind? So here are, from my experience, 3 language patterns that are of great use whenever you want to defend yourself and bring the conflict to a resolution instead of staying mad forever. The first one is: there is at least one thing on which I can agree with you. Or there is at least one thing that we can agree upon. If you start from a mutual agreement, even on a very small, tiny little thing, that will put the brain of the person in front of you at ease. You know, they will drop down the defensive reflex of trying to beat you up, or unless it is a political scene, and even then, I do believe in politicians are still human beings in the end, so even them might be lowered if the person in front of them showed some respect, at least, toward their skills, their achievements, their whatever. It is always easier to bring the conversation, the conflict, to a resolution when you show some appreciation for at least, for example, one difficult moment the person has had to deal with. You may not agree with their idea, but for example, you might say, I acknowledge that the career you've had was very difficult, and I did not have to face the challenges you've had to face. That is something I acknowledge. Now, what I disagree with you is blah blah blah. If you start by something where you show appreciation, whatever you say next will be 100 times better received than if you try to attack head-on the person's beliefs or convictions. The second one is according to whom specifically. This is coming back from the original NLP meta model, where it was about challenging, specifically here, judgments. When somebody makes a judgment, either a positive one or a negative one, you challenge their assumption by questioning according to whom. Because especially today in modern day debates, what most people who get stuck appeal to is a big world cause, or a big nominalization, or a big complex abstract terminology that can mean everything and nothing. So all the communism left-wing people will complain about, oh, capitalism. On the reverse, capitalists will complain about, oh, the socialists like socialism, and the feminists will complain about, oh, conservative patriarchy, and the conservative guys will complain about, oh, feminism. Those big terms, capitalism, communism, feminism, patriarchy, those are big abstract terms that you can use to explain or justify everything and nothing. You can use those terms into any way you want to bring credit or discredit something. Therefore, a way I found useful to de-escalate debates that go into one of those big terms is to ask specifically according to whom. If I preach for capitalism, I'm not going to preach for capitalism. I will talk about the words and the quotes of Adam Smith, or I will talk about Naval Ravikant, or I will talk about certain individuals I know of who have really investigated how the human nature can apply itself into the world of economy, and vice versa. If I want to preach about communism, I will study what Karl Marx has been saying specifically, rather than just saying, oh yeah, this is the right thing to do. The right thing to do according to whom? If I follow the words of Karl Marx, then I can justify with more specific knowledge, or I may quote the book The Joyless Economy by Tibor Sitowski, sorry for the accent, but whenever you bring down a big abstract term to concrete quotes and sayings of a specific person, first of all, it is easier to debate because you know which specific beliefs are you pulling from that big abstract terminology, and we can notice More specifically, where is the area of disagreement? Because in any agreement there is a part of disagreement, and in any disagreement there is a part of agreement. Can we find the least amount of thing on which we don't really disagree? And from there, see how we can align our perceptions of the world together, to go hand in hand. And the last one, number 3, if we had already agreed about everything or upon everything, what would change specifically about this situation? This one might be the most important of them all. Also something I don't use that often. It is like a last resort. Like when I really sense there is something going into a wall, it is not advancing in any way. You need to understand, when people are constantly looking for a fight or constantly engaging into useless debates that are just getting them even more angry, even more upset, at some point you need to understand those people are just wounded inside. They have been hurt by something, they did not recover, they did not heal at all, and now they are trying to look up for a fight with the next person and the next person on the one topic they are getting triggered about. They are trying to look up for the next fight and the next fight, either because they want to show how much of a victim they are and they want to be taken care of. They may not say it like this, but it might be the implicit goal there is behind their constant complaints about, oh, the bad people, the rich, the whatever. It is because they haven't been taken care of and they try to find some reassurance, or it is because since they have been hurt or maybe they have been betrayed or something, they have repressed anger inside, a lot of repressed anger, and they try unconsciously to find an opportunity to let it come out, which is translated by engaging into more arguments, more verbal fights, more debates that are leading nowhere with people that are not even belonging to their life. They may engage into a verbal fight with somebody at work they have never seen before. They will constantly try and trigger people's hot buttons just because they look for a fight, because they need to let out the anger they have been repressing for too long. Therefore, and this one was not easy to figure out, I had to burn my wings more than a few times to figure out the one line I can say with those people that can finally put an end to the fight. If we had already agreed, so if I had already agreed with everything you're saying, what specifically would change in your life? Or what specifically would change in the world if you really want to play the big world savior archetype, whatever? What specifically would change? Let's say, okay, I say legitimately yes to everything you want to convince me about. Then what would change? And there we will get the debate or the confrontation to a resolution, to what specifically are you trying to get out of me or out of yourself or whatever. And if it is something I am not willing to give you, then thank you, goodbye, and just stop talking to me. If it is something I am willing to give you, then let's just proceed. And then we can go on to another conversation. Some people just want to maintain you into endless fights that will never get into a resolution because they are so hurt inside and they don't want to recover. They just want the small relief that their burst of anger will provide. They want that small relief, but they don't want to heal deeply inside. With those people, the best answer you can ever have is to leave them alone. They will find another person to fight with anyway. A great metaphor I had recently actually is whenever you look at those guys in nightclubs who fight physically, a guy who really wants to fight because he is angry and he's drunk in a nightclub, that guy will find a fight anyway. Whether you're here or not, that guy will find a fight. In that case, why the hell do you even stand in front of him? Why do you confront that guy? He's gonna find a fight anyway. And even if he fights you, tomorrow he will have forgotten about who you are in most cases. So those people who constantly try to engage you on debates that are just triggering you, they are the same thing. They just try to look for they just try to find a verbal fight. Whether you exist or not, they will find it. They will find somebody they can complain to, they can argue against. Why the hell do you stay in front of those people? Why don't you just leave and go look for people who are more enjoyable to spend the time with? What stops you from doing that? From cutting the roots once and for all? with people who are toxic in your life, and developing better roots and relationships with people who enhance the quality of your life. With that in mind, you can download, if you want, the document down below in the description called the 7 Steps to Master Sleight of Mouth. It will drastically help you to get out of useless debates or conversations that are just aimed at lowering your self-esteem. You can just elevate yourself through your conversations, through the way you use the language, and that will be of great use whenever you want to help somebody who is asking for help and who wants to change some limitations but doesn't really know how to do that. It is down below, it is for you. Thank you for watching. Ask all your questions down below in the comments if you have some, and see you in the next video.